this? A debut, a maiden voyage, a night of the postgame. Normally I'm doing these on the Instagram Live with some suds, but this is much better. Instead, we're doing it here for Bleav in Chargers, presented by FanDuel. Big thank you to our friends at FanDuel for hooking us up all season long. Of course, you can watch on FanDuel. And FanDuel, as I'm checking it right now, they're feeling pretty good about the Chargers hitting that 10-win mark, minus 190 for over 9.5, plus 160 for under 9.5. So this is a big one. And I think just getting this win tonight, sort of cleansing the palate of what happened on Sunday, having lost 3 of 4. This one felt like, it's the second time we've said must win. We said it going into Miami low. But I did feel like this sort of had that same vibe to it because they had lost 3 of 4, and the way they won that one game, sort of that miracle drive with 46 seconds left and that field goal in Miami. They needed not just a win, but, man, a dominating win, and man, did they deliver.
Yeah, they did, Money. And I was watching. I know you were there. I was like, hey, look, I knew this was over by halftime. I think the biggest thing about this, they won on both sides, offensively and defensively. You saw a team play collectively great, and it was just unbelievable watching the defense, create a new line of scrimmage, the emergence of the return of Joel Alt.
Huge.
I mean, the guy just erased people. I know we're going to break down this game, but the first touchdown, running to the left side, he took his man, drove him 5 yards in the end zone. You created a total new line of scrimmage. You saw the defender have his outside arm free, so trying to keep the outside free. But when you get pushed back and wide, you are not setting an edge, and it's just crazy watching Joe Alt play the tackle position, his feet, his balance, the leverage, what he is in the running game. You saw it. The offensive line played a lot better today, and they won in the trenches. That's bottom line.
Yeah, you can't, you can't overstate how important the return of Joe Alt was, how much different it looked. And it's nothing against Austin Deculus, but it's reality. He is a true game changer, literally changes the way the offense plays the game of football. I can't say it any better. Well, obviously I can't. I mean, I'm not Lorenzo Neal. You know what it looks like. It's creating a new line of scrimmage. It's having Justin Herbert not worry about edge pressure on that side of the football. They can commit all their resources to the other side. And I'll say this too, I have some I shouldn't call it scar tissue. I just have preconceived notions about Bobby Hart, having watched what Joey Bosa did to him. I mean, just destroyed the guy on 2 separate occasions. But he's played well at right tackle, and he ended up getting the start. Even though Trey was healthy, they still felt like, you know what, we feel good about Bobby. I think Bobby's done a good job over there, but they're still committing Tucker Fisk over there, Matlock's over there, your running back is shaded over there. So now you're good without, Joe Alt there and Slater at left tackle, but now with Joe Alt at left tackle, you can now commit all those resources over there, and you can run that ball to the left side of the line. And then when you're running it to the right side of the line, you already have that great run blocking from Tucker Fisk, the tight end. And they kept pulling Zion, and he has some really nice kickouts. And I think that's how you end up with over 200 yards rushing. I know 62 of it came from Herbert on scrambles.
Right.
But to me, it was just that's where this thing starts. I don't think you can start at any other point than having 76 back out there changes everything.
Oh, no question. And not just that, just to add on with watching Tucker Fisk, 42, get out on the field, watching him create a new line of scrimmage. You watch him line up, he constantly moving his feet. He's driving, he's pushing guys off the ball. He's finishing. He's pancaking guys. I remember you talking about Fisk and, hey, get this guy, go with the heavy personnel. You watch the 300-pound tight end, the fullback come across, and you're right. They're chipping guys. If a guy get beat, you have an outside tight end there. You have a fullback over there. You're doing a lot of different things to kind of minimize the pressure on the right side. And then when you got that tree and that mammoth of the man on the left, you just know that side's protected. And he went against a good pass rusher tonight, a guy who was formidable, great pass rusher, got a lot of moves, quick off the ball. You saw one time he spin, Alt's just getting back, first game back. But you saw him able to recover, his footwork, his balance, him staying low, driving guys off the ball. It was a really good effort watching Vidal run the ball downhill, watching linemen push the pal. Haven't seen that in a couple of weeks where a runner's running, he's still running, and all of a sudden you see this big lineman come and move it another 3, 4, 5 yards, and watching running backs, and you just saw the energy from this offense that you haven't seen in the last couple of weeks. Meaning to just go out there and score 30, score 21. I haven't seen, they haven't done that all year to get 21 in the first half. This was a offense that was firing on all cylinders tonight. And like you said, Herbert, unbelievable in the run game, in the passing game, just to take watching those linebackers, drop and try to cover Keenan and get in those zones. And you see Herbert just seeing it and just take off. And he ran very, very well, kept the Minnesota Vikings on their heels. Great brand game tonight.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned Kimani Vidal, and I think it's important to point out, there's some really good Vidal runs in there. The one that comes to mind, I think it was the longest run. It might have been the second longest run of the night, where it was set up as a counter, and Fisk comes in motion, and he's cutting back, and Kimani just looked at it, and he was like, no. He just bounced it out left. He saw the green. And he was like, I know where it's supposed to go. And that just speaks to him growing as a back and recognizing, I know what it's blocked up. And I know how you must feel about it, Lo, when you're sticking your nose in there and you're taking the hits. And you're like, come on, little man, follow me. Get on my hip here. And next thing you know, you look up and you're like, where'd he go? He's down the field 25 yards because he saw it. He saw that, Joe Alt was able to collapse that left side inside. And he was doing that all night. He was making, some stuff happen when maybe it wasn't there. And it was impressive, just to kind of throw the numbers out. People can all see it, but 23 for 117, average 5.1 and a touchdown. And that was more than he had against, I think he had 108 against Miami on the ground. He had like 130-something total with the air yards. But and got his first rushing touchdown of his career.
Yeah, you're right. It was very impressive. And I know the play you're talking about, even though it was like second, I think, and 9 on kind of on the goal line, and it was kind of a counter. They toss and supposed to cut and bring it back. The guy comes over the top and he says, nope, I'm gonna stay front side. It was supposed to be a bend back, and he says, no, I'm gonna stay front side. Took it down to the 1 yard line, ran over the guy down on the 1. That's just seeing it, understanding. Hey, look, you got a guy up the field. I'm not going to try to force it. I'm not going to run the hump. I'm just going to stay play side because, like you said, wash the defender down. So he saw it, saw the green grass out there, turned on the speed and got to the corner. Then they ran the play again later on, and he takes it back, bends it back, and picks up 15, 20 yards on the next time because he read it out, understanding that. And just watching guys get down the field, he did a great job of covering up the ball. Minnesota trying to strip the ball out. The yak yards were big tonight for the backs. Yeah. Yards after contact, the yak yards were amazing tonight. Watching the team play tonight, I was like, man, these lightning bolts that, you've been beat up the last couple of weeks. You've been kicked. You've been punched. You have not been able to stop the run. You haven't been able to run the ball. You haven't been able to take care of Justin Herbert. The guy's been hit more than any quarterback in this league. He's been running for his life. You have not really played well because you've been getting gashed in the running game because you haven't set a new line of scrimmage. You saw Tarp. You saw those guys up front, Khalil Mack, all those guys. They played on the other side of the ball tonight. You saw running backs. Minnesota could not even get the running game going. Why? Wow. Because guys were getting up the field, making the backs get out of their running lane, deviate from where they're going to go, and they were running right into those lightning bolts. It was great watching this team play last night.
Yeah, it really was. And you mentioned how, that run by Kimani Vidal, what was it, 9 yards? So he bounces it, goes 9 yards, and sets up a 1st and goal from the 2.
Yep.
They get too many men on the field on the Vikings. So now it's 1st and goal from just outside the 1. And as they were resetting, as they were setting up for that goal to go, I said to DJ on the play-by-play on the broadcast, I said, come on, man, can I have something nice here? Can I get a Justin Herbert QB sneak for a touchdown? Can I just get my first one of the season? Last week had 3 different 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 1.5, and it worked great. They were doing the extra leverage behind him to get him the extra yards, and sure enough, man, here we go. And he gets under center, and I'm like, DJ says, man, I'm not going to have to buy Matt a Christmas present. That's all he wants, man. And here we go. And Herbert takes the snap, and he gets that surge, and he turns backwards, and he protects his hands, and he pushes into the end zone. And I'm like, yeah, there we go. And then, of course, it's a false start.
See a little handkerchief on the ground, little hanky.
Yeah, little hanky on the ground. And then DJ says, well, you know what? Let's reward Kimani Vidal. This has been his drive. He's got the one rushing touchdown, but how about getting him a 2-touchdown game? And I'm like, all right, we can maybe deal with that. Well, now, what do we have? We got Herbert evading a sack. And then I think it was the best case scenario here, right? Because you got Orande Gadsden, who's now setting records as a rookie tight end, busting his tail out there. You got Kimani Vidal, who already had his first rushing touchdown of the game. You got R.J. Mickens, who gets his first interception as Derwin James was out. So Tony Jefferson is now playing up in that box safety role that Derwin was playing. And now you got R.J. Mickens, the 7th-round pick out of Clemson, playing high safety. He gets the interception. And how does it work out? Perfectly. Because you got Trey Harris, who blocks his tail off, man. He blocks his tail. So here's a great stat that I dug up next gen, or I think it was NFL Pro I got this one from. When Trey Harris is on the field, the Chargers run 41.4% of the time when he's out there. And with him on the field, they run at a 5.3 yards per carry clip. He blocks like a mother scratcher, man. Yeah. And so you get into that situation where he's just been blocking all night, and bang, there's his first touchdown reception. And you could see, and it's one of the things you can really see on this team, Lo, and you can speak to it because you've lived it, just the joy, the elation, the excitement that all of his teammates have because they know how hard that guy works at doing the stuff that doesn't show up in the box score. Yeah. It's not going to help you get a fat second contract with your 100 receptions and 1,000 yards. He just comes to play, lunch pail in his hand, week in and week out. So to get that first touchdown was pretty freaking cool, and you could see it on all of his teammates' faces how excited they were for him.
They really were, and I think that you just got what you said kind of to add on to that. He's been blocking his tail off all night. He's been doing a great job. But then the scramble drill, you saw him go in. Yeah. He's being guarded. Herbert scrambles. He cuts back, and Herbert sees him and rewards him. Those are the attention to details. Those are the little things that, hey, sometimes guys run to darkness. Here's this guy sees Herbert roll back. It's you turn and run. Did that, set down nicely, made a nice catch. All the guys were happy for him. It was just great watching these young guys play. Trey get his touchdown, first touchdown, watching him play. But I'm going to tell you, a guy you've been talking about, a guy who you said, hey, Lo, this guy, by the end of the year, he's going to be making some plays. At camp, you said it. You're like, hey, looks a little light right now, a little light and behind. But this guy, now he's up to 252, 255. You said, this guy's going to be a nightmare. And that's Gadsden. You watch this tight end. He's a chain mover, a game changer. When he catches the ball, he's got some wiggle. Hey, diddle, Gadsden down the middle. I mean, I love it. You can double him, try to bracket him. I mean, you see him on the chip blocks and then all of a sudden getting open and make guys miss. And he's playing with that bravado and that swag right now, Money. Yeah. I like this kid. 150 yards last week. Today, 70, 80 yards today. 70 yards in the first half. The guy is a catching machine.
He looks like a slot receiver. Yeah. Like that's how well he's running those routes. That's how sound his hands are. How he's either, if he's got to grab, if he's got to extend and snatch, fine. If he's got to dig it out low, no problem. If it's behind him, all good. I got you. Like and that's as I hope people don't think that's no. It's a compliment. He's still 250, and he's putting. And when you stand next to him, he's a big dude. He is all of 6'5". I don't know if he's quite 250 yet, but he's certainly I'd say north of 240. But he's a problem. He is a problem. And again, it was 7 for 164 and a tug, the most receiving yards by a rookie tight end since freaking a guy you're even too young to have played with, Mark Bavaro.
Yeah, I love Navarro, baby.
So did I.
Giants, baby.
Exactly right. And from your neck of the woods too, as a matter of fact. So yeah, I mean, I think the fact that you follow that up, right? Is it a one and done? Is it a fluke? It's just they weren't paying attention to him. They were down 24-3, so it was just kind of open in the middle of the field and underneath. No. Here he is early on in the game. Like you said, he ends up 5 targets, 5 catches, 77 yards, a touchdown, long of 40. And it was spread out. It was Ladd for 88, Keenan for 44. And then the rushing, it was Vidal for 117. Patterson gets 30 yards on the ground. It was just so balanced. It was, and I think that's like I was listening to a post game on the way home, and I just thought it was so. It's funny how narratives are crafted based on box scores or statistics. And
Sure.
they were talking about how, oh, I don't like the way Harbaugh's coaching this year. They're airing it out too much. And it's like, well, it was last week, dude. It was being down. Justin threw the ball 50-something times last week. That's why this whole thing is out of whack. We saw it in the Giants game when it was kind of a coming out party for Omari and Hampton, even though they lost that game. And then before he got hurt in the Washington game, he's running the heck out of the ball. And you're just like, all right, here we go. We got this running game. Joe Alt gets hurt. And it's like, yeah, that's why it looked the way it did against the Colts, because they just played the Vikings and you had Kimani Vidal out there for 130 yards from scrimmage. So this is exactly what they want it to look like. But you got to perform the way they performed, and that's to play complementary football, have your defense get some stops, keep you in the game. And to me, as great as the offense was, putting up 37, the most they put up this year, the most they put up since week 17 against New England last year when they blew the Patriots out 40-3, I think it was. That the more important part was defense, Lo. We talked about this coming out of the Colts game, just to kind of shift to that side of the ball. You are getting run over by the Dolphins and Achane. Well, let's just go in order. Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, Devin Achane and the Dolphins, Bill Krosky-Merritt and the Commanders, Cam Skattebo and Jackson Dart and the Giants. That's back to back to back to back. And here you got, a Vikings team and an offensive coordinator that's pretty darn good at dialing up run offense, and you shut it down. I mean, completely 11 carries for 34 yards.
Right.
Is
You
what
made
that
them say
defense
it's
threw out
enough.
there.
You made them say you get to a point, Money. You remember when that little boy, you talked about how he used to be a wrestler, and you got to a point where people were beating up on you, and you said, enough. It's time for me to start pinning guys. And you just went on a tear. You said, enough getting beat. And that's where the Chargers were. They're at that point where the defense said, enough. This is a good enough defense. This defense, you didn't lose a lot of players. You saw the guys up front. We talked about them not creating a new line of scrimmage. We talked about them playing other teams, playing the other side of the ball, running lanes. You can pitch the ball, and it turns it just so wide. Guys can run through it, drive a car through it. No one's even touching guys 10, 20 yards down the field. You saw JT last week on that long run. No one even touched him. They played in Miami. No one touched guys on certain runs. No one even touched them. They were diving at feet. They didn't have that guys flashing. Now there's someone in the lane. You played on the other side of the ball. You clogged up the lanes. You didn't get pushed off the ball. You created a new line of scrimmage, and you saw the defense say enough. They bowed their necks. They shut down the run. They made them one-dimensional. And in the pass game, 5 sacks tonight? You look at the way they were coming. They just didn't sit back and say, let's just play three-man, put pressure. We're going to play 4, 5, 6 at a time. We're going to depend on our secondary, and that pressure is going to get there. So you saw this defense play good complementary football tonight. They didn't break. They didn't give up a lot of runs. They didn't get gashed. And when you play football like that in the National Football League, this is the Charger team that, hey, look, where's this team been? You've had the injury bug happen a lot on offense, but the defense hasn't had as many injuries, had a couple. But you know that this defense is way more capable of playing better football than it has played. And tonight, they showed they can play.
Yeah, and I think it was something that was discussed all week. Now, I think for people that are frustrated with Coach Harbaugh's pressers and his unwillingness to take shots at his players and talk about net, it's just that's how he's wired. That's how he's always been. And that's, if you don't like it, and I don't mean to say this like to be condescending or dismissive, I just think just don't watch the pressers because you're not going to get it. You're never going to get out of it what you want. That's just how Harbaugh is. It's how he's always been. He will never take a shot at his player, no matter how bad they are playing. The closest thing he'll ever say is, yeah, it was an MA, but we'll fix it. That's it. That's the most you'll get. So I know people were frustrated by that. So just watch the players' pressers because you heard what Derwin said. You heard he said, use some expletives. talked about how upset he was with himself, with this defense, that's not who they are. You heard what Khalil Mack had to say, that he felt like, okay, I wasn't 100% against the Colts. I am now, and just wait till you see what's coming on Thursday night. And so I think you felt the defense take, as the players took ownership of it. And I'll tell you, man, it was a really strange 3 days. And I get it, and the great thing about Jesse Minter, he's such a good dude, and he will answer every question, and he will put his neck out there and say, put it right here on me. I got it. It's fine. But people questioning whether or not he knows what he's doing, and has the league caught up to him, and are we playing too much zone, and what about these light boxes, and why are we come on, man. God, you saw what the guy had to work with last year and what this thing looked like week in and week out. These teams are good. Shane Steichen is good at offense. The offense was struggling. You had your defense out there for 25, 32, 38 minutes per game. They're going to get got. It's just the way the league is. And I think tonight I was really happy for him. Scheme-wise, it was sound. He was able to muddy the picture for Wentz. They had one pick, could have had another one. Denzel dropped one. And Elijah could have had one as well. So there are multiple opportunities to get them. The only touchdown they got was off an interception, and then an embarrassing 13 men on the field for a field goal that gave them an extra point. And then you got bracketed coverage on Jordan Addison, and you're still grabbing the guy. Like, it was all just mental errors, or else they would have held him to 3.
Right.
So just like the incoming that Jesse Minter took, I thought was crazy based on what we've got enough of a sample size. And so I was just happy to see, as I got it pulled up here, 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 8 QB hits. At one point in this game, the Chargers had 20 first downs, and the Vikings had run 24 plays.
I think only like 2, and with 3 or 4 first downs. It was it was crazy the first half. I think they only got 4 first halves.
Yeah.
It was total domination. And it's interesting, even on the TV, was watching it, you heard the guys talking about, oh, this guy was up for coaching one of the coaches, a head job, and now they're saying he's done Minter. And it's just interesting. You got to have thick skin. You got to understand people are going to talk when guys don't, and that's a good thing that Harbaugh, because he played the game, doesn't talk about call players up. They watch film. They see guys running gaps. They see guys, running out of lanes, guys going over top, guys getting pushed off the ball. They ain't going to call guys out like that in the media, because when you watch film, trust me, I've been in those meetings. You've been in those meetings. When you rewind that play and it's like, Low, why is your head on that side? Low, you make this block. Okay, what are you doing here? This is outside. Why are you kicking him out? Why are you kicking him out when you know this is supposed to get, you got to, and you go, and they're rewinding that tape, and you're just watching, and you're like, you can't, this isn't winning football. And you go over that, and you're supposed to scoot block and supposed to be hip to hip, and you're not coming up, and they're watching it, and you're watching in front of your peers, and guys get to see, if you make this block, what do you think happens here, Low? LT's pretty good runner, but don't you tell him you're sorry. That's what Coach Shellman, C-Shell, I've been wanting to strangle him, money. Shellman, Clarence Shellman, I wanted to look, I was like, you know what? Seriously, I'd get so hot, want to grab his neck, and I'd want to get him and just like, and it's like, what do you think? Tell him, you supposed to be bad for you. Why didn't you make that block? Look. Don't you think we would have got some? And you're just sitting there and you're, yes, sir, coach. And you just so trust me, those meetings aren't fun, especially when you're losing.
Well, I'll tell you who, and look, and I'm fine with you doing it. I hate doing it. I'm just doing it for the sake for conversation and having watched. All I am is a little pencil neck, 155-pound dork. So I understand how hard it is out there in these plastic outfits and the level of violence in which you're asked to complete. But Justin Eboigbe had a rough one against the Colts. And I think when, if I can see it on the film, I can only imagine what it was like for him. Man, he came out with his hair on fire. He came out with purpose, and they were not running by him. He was stout at the point of attack. He had 2 sacks. He could have had 3. He was in the backfield nonstop. And to me, that performance screamed, yeah, that was, if you were going to circle one player on defense against the Colts, that was He was just kind of upright the whole time. He
Yeah.
was getting washed out. He got washed out by a tight end once, and I was like, oh boy. So
Oh
I can
boy.
only imagine that whatever it was that whoever, what was Coach Shell, whoever his, I don't know if it was Mike Elston or who it was that was doing it to him, but whoever it
Right.
was, they lit a fire under the young man because man, he was doing something out there tonight.
Yeah, he really did.
He was ready to make sure the film did not look like that. Going back, I can tell you that. Right, and that goes for the whole defensive line. I mean, Tier Tart is always going to make the splat. The holding call was hilarious. I felt like the way I described it on air was I said Tier was basically like he was driving the motorcycle and he had the person on the back, holding him around the waist as they were going down the boulevard. That's what that holding call looked like. And nobody sells it better. He's just like, oh, God. He sells it so good whenever he gets held. He's one of my favorite dudes.
Oh, he can definitely act. How about during the first play? Boom, he swims over the guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, here's a big man getting off the ball. It almost looked like he jumped off sides. It was so quick. Anticipation, and that's how you play it upfield. And now when the ball's supposed to go to a hole and you disrupt it, and now the back bounces, you disrupt everything. That's what guys don't understand, because if that's the point of attack and now you make a guy bounce out of that, those other guys, and now they don't know what you're doing and they're pushing a guy to darkness. So I just love to see guys fly around, and tonight the defense flew around both sides of the ball. Offense penetrate. They all created a new line of scrimmage. Offensive line held up. Yeah, at times it broke down, but they did a great job. Especially, you watch the left guard go down, right guard go down again, injured again. I know paid a lot of money. Philly, just want to see this guy play, because when he's playing, Beckman's playing. He's really good guard, and just unfortunately the injury bug has just been hitting him hard this year.
Yeah, I'll say I thought if you saw it, Joe Alt got rolled up early. They rolled up on that same bad ankle, and love that he fought through it. Bobby Hart had something happen. You can see him limping around. He was working it out on the sideline. And right after the very next drive, Bobby Hart didn't come off the field. Bobby Hart stayed in. Very next drive was that scramble that Justin had where he got tagged late, and they should have thrown a flag, and they didn't. Right sideline. And here's Bobby Hart running all the way across the field, first guy in, shoving some Vikings off of his quarterback. And I think that tells you here's a guy who's been on the active roster for just 3 weeks, and you see sort of the effect that this team has on each other and sticking up for each other. And he was the guy that dug Justin out. So I certainly tip my cap to both of those guys, Bobby Hart not missing a snap and Joe Alt not missing a snap after coming back from that high ankle. Probably a little bit early. I think if it were up to the team, all things being equal, if they had beat the Commanders or beat the Colts, you probably wouldn't have seen Joe Alt just yet. They'd have given him that extra week. So for both of those guys, absolutely. And I thought Foster Sorrell, even though he had the false start, and I thought he fought, he competed, his tail off coming in the middle of that game. So it's great to see, man. You love to see that those guys, because everybody's beat up low. It's week 8. Right. They're all beat up. Delete me. We love delete me. And then we're going to get to these comments. We appreciate all you. There's a lot of them in here, over 100 right now. So we got to get to a bunch of these. And I know one of the questions better be, why is Lowe's tongue powder blue? I got to figure that out. I don't know if that's just a Charger thing, if you're drinking Bolt Up protein powder, or what do we got there? Vital methylene blue 1%. There you go. See, that's why Lowe looks so good, man. That's why it's powder. Look, it matches my shirt. I got my 1960 horse logo, and Lowe's got the. That's the difference between Lowe. What I had before we came on? Here's what I had.
Money, I'm taking all kind of vitamins, man. This is my bedtime. I'm taking all kind of vitamins. I'm pumping it in. Pumping in me.
My vitamins. My vitamins were Hershey bar with almonds. That's what I had on the way home to try to give me a little bit of a sugar spike so I could keep this thing going. Haven't been up at 4:40 in the morning. Delete me. Remember, data brokers make profit off your data. It is a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. That leads to identity theft, phishing attempts, harassment. Protect your privacy with Delete Me. I say it whenever we bring up Delete Me. I had my identity stolen. I had it compromised. It was when I was buying a home. It cost me a 1/4 point on my mortgage. I had to go to court. It was a disaster. And I don't want you to have to experience that. So please take control of your data. Keep your private life private. For signing up for Delete Me. It is a special discount for you, our listeners. You get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/pro. Again, use the promo code PRO at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/pro. Enter code PRO at checkout. Again, joindeleteme.com/pro, code PRO. All right, Lo, you ready? Ready for the people? And then I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to hit before we get to a lot of these. Cam Dicker, not fair to him, man. Come on, Conklin. Get out there. Second time he's done this now where he doesn't recognize that he's in the grouping and he scrambles on the field. And Cam Dicker, who was 89 for 90 on kicks under 50 yards and 46 of 47 at SoFi because Conklin's running a scramble drill. And it was a terrible snap, too, by the way. 2 of them. JK had to dig out and put down there for Dicker. At least he made one of them. But now he is 89 or 90 or 91 for 93 or something like that. But, yeah, he missed it. So, come on, man. Clean it up. All right, here we go. Let's see. A lot of people love the Navies. The Navies were beautiful. Mike likes tacos. How about those Navies, huh, Money? Because I know I was a little – again, they were 0-6 with Navies. I'm done. I love it. I'm all about it. The field was beautiful. The uniforms were gorgeous. I absolutely loved it. They are now 1-0 in their supercharger Navies. So I'm good. I'm all good with the Navies now. That was my only issue. 0-6 since they went to powder blues. They had not won in a Navy uniform since November of 2019. That is how long it had.
Wow, that yellow Money that they had last week, it's preach.
Yeah, I'll say this.
It looks cool when you look at it just like a jersey, but it's a uni.
Yeah.
So
garbage. I thought the field was the best looking field we've ever had. The field that they used. The Charger Power with that script in the end zone, the way they had the corner set up, I thought it was beautiful. You were there, Lo. You were on the field. The unis, selfishly for a play-by-play guy, unacceptable. White number, we had no idea who was who. White numbers on a yellow jersey is not a good combo. You got to have a navy number on there or a thick navy border. They didn't have that. I do think moving forward, I like the gold jersey. I think if you went gold jersey, powder blue pant, it looked good. I think that looked good.
Yeah.
I think the all yellow was an issue, but the all navy was glorious. And I love just the in-game production, man. All the 1980s, 1990s, they had like the 8-bit sound effects going, and it was kind of a blurry, not a 4K vibe on the infinity board. It was really, they did a really, really good job with it. And I know the players, they're their favorite uniforms, so they're going to be like, hey, can we get a second game in these, please? Can we just adjust and let's get one more, which they will get. They'll play the Raiders on that Monday nighter. Or no, not Monday night. I said no. The Monday nighter was at Vegas, so they will play the Raiders in the regular season on a Sunday in their navies as well. So we will get one more. All right. So that was Mike Likes Tacos. Dressage Gal. I'm tired, made alive, not missing this. Thank you, Dressage Girl. Hopefully your horse feels the same way. Angel, swear Joe Alt is an all-pro. Cam Hart showed out today. Got his hand on the football a few times. Lo, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, he did. He was all over the field. You love the way he gets his hands on the ball, knocking the balls down, making great up, jump in front of picks. So I think the whole secondary, you have to give those guys, the game ball. They played really well, especially against Jefferson, who only needed 80 yards to be the first guy to get to a fastest to 8,000. I mean, I thought the secondary played exceptionally well. I didn't like that big 3rd and 13. They were able to pick it up, found that hole. Jefferson makes that catch. Remember that particular play? But
it was a weird play.
It was weird, huh?
I don't think that ball was meant for him. I think it was a straight because it was fluttering.
Right.
And I think it got tipped on the line of scrimmage. I think it was going to Hawkinson, who was just underneath running an out, and just serendipity found Jefferson. It got popped because it was fluttering, and it ended up finding him. It was a really weird, it was a very strange play.
Yeah, it was. I was like, well, how'd that happen?
Let's see. Will says R.J. Mickens stepping up huge. Get Derwin and Tarheeb better over the long break. Yeah, that's the good thing, Will, is that Derwin was in a boot. Tarheeb was dealing with a knee, little friendly fire, ankle. Okay. So they got 10 days. And look, it's Tennessee. Every team can win on any given Sunday, no doubt about it. But, if you're going to have them miss a game, that might be the one. And then you get almost 2 full weeks for him to get right. And I thought that safeties played well. Mickens had that interception. I think Tony in the box is fine. He's super comfortable up there. Still, how physical Tony is.
Right.
So I think that works. As long as Molden's healthy, I think you're fine. That you can maybe give him that extra week against Tennessee. But Shannon, who's down on the sideline for us, was saying that she got the impression that Derwin was telling everyone, like, I'm good, dude. No worries.
No.
I'm good. So, but that's Derwin. Derwin would play with, he'd Ronnie Lott it. He'd cut a digit off if it meant he could stay in a game. That's just how that dude's. So there you go. Dressage Girl asked about any word on Vidal. Kimani Vidal, 100+ yards, 2 out of 3 weeks. Does that put a trade for a running back off the table? What would you do, Lo? Would you go get somebody, or are you comfortable with what they got?
I'm comfortable with the running by committee. I thought Vidal run well, and I thought that you heard Justin Herbert after the game. I don't know if you heard him, but he gave him high praise, said the guys in there watching film, he's adjusting at practice. He said Vidal is a great practice guy, also a student of the game. He said he's in there doing the things he needs to do. And talent-wise, we've always said he had the talent. And I think these last couple of weeks is something to build on. I don't think you see it. You got Haskins, you got other guys that can go out there. As long as the guys up front continue to get better, these guys can run.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for Vidal was just pass pro. And now that there were a couple of reps he had, they looked really good. Picked up the blitz, was able to take a handoff from an O-lineman and stay stout. And Herbert, he was still under duress. He still took a lot of hits tonight.
Yeah.
He's just so good at managing it, man. Like, I think about that touchdown throw to Trey Harris. That thing was darn near a sack back at the 20-yard line, and it ends up as a touchdown throw. Like, it's just crazy how he's able to escape and move. I think at one point DJ called him Houdini Herbert. I mean, it was just crazy what he got out of to extend a play. Here we go. Fire lit under their behinds, played physical, kept their foot on the gas. Herbert, as we just talked about, played tough and physical, and they weren't ready for it. And I think that's, it's the second time now that Herbert's played against Brian Flores and the Vikings. The last time he threw over 45 passes, completed 85% of them, the most that a quarterback has ever completed, highest percentage of passes a quarterback has ever completed, throwing at least 45, having at least 45 attempts, when he had that 18-catch, 215-yard Keenan game, 2 years ago, when we were 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was 2023 that we were in Minneapolis for that one. Remember when they had to do the play over and over and over again and ended up getting the win on the interception. So the defense stepped up. Kick coverage needs to be better. Don't want to see Dicker leading team in special teams tackle. So I'll say this, DJC, that one was called back because Mickens got held. Yep. Mickens was there to make the play, and he got held. So that's the only reason why Dicker had to make that tackle. And if you remember, that thing got pulled all the way back inside the 10-yard line. Prime example of what this team can be when offense and defense are clicking. Here you go, Lo. Definitely found a tight end. This could be big for the team.
Oh, it's not big. It's huge. I mean, here's a guy we say it. You've been saying it. Gaston, he can move the chains. Not just a chain mover, but he is a game changer. This team is going to have to continue to build on this. You played a Minnesota team that's kind of down too, going through some struggles. Yep. The offensive line's been beat up. So look, you understand. You got to don't read the press clippings. You just a week away from getting motorboated. So this was a great bounce back. You got to keep your foot on the gas pedal. You're getting ready to go into Tennessee. Make it 2 in a row. Get this streak back going. Yeah. Go ahead and go on another road streak.
Normally, if I do these on IG, I'm having a beer, and the rule is we stop when the beer is gone. So Wes saying, I hope your beer is ice cold. Mine tastes like cold victory. I'm glad you're enjoying it. We're doing it with FanDuel, so it's going to be on the TV, so cannot have the suds for this one. But I'll have one when we're done. Well, actually, I don't know. It's 10:40. Will I? Maybe. Jem Vidal Gadsden making a statement tonight, no doubt. Jem K says we need that jersey as the primary. I mean, I'm sure, Lo, you'd probably like it. I like the powders. I think the powders are the best jerseys in football. I don't think it's close. I think the navies are pretty cool. If you can wear those twice a year, I think it's a nice accent. But to me, you're the only team with powder. There's teams with navy. I've said it. I know the Cowboys call theirs royal, but that's navy. The Bears wear navy. There's a lot of navy out there. There's no powder. And to me, it just separates. Sweet. Yeah, it separates the Chargers. Vidal secured his spot as running back 2 when Hampton returns. Yeah, I think without Najee, no question. He's the guy. Again, he got 23 carries. Jarrett Patterson got 11. So I think and he's a great compliment to Hampton. I don't think there's any question about it. And I'm happy for him because they were excited about him last year out of Troy. And the pass pro was a little bit concerning. And remember, this is a guy that was on the practice squad.
Right.
He did not make the initial 53. And there were people that were clamoring to have Rocket Sanders make the team over him. Like no one was saying we should keep. And Kimani is one of the better special teams guys out there too. And nobody was bringing that up. So, very excited for him. Very happy for him. He's a great dude. His dad's a great guy.
He's worked hard. He's worked hard.
Exactly right. His dad, I Bleav this is right. I think this is right, Lo. I want to make sure I got this right. I think I Bleav his dad played at FAU with Arthur, Kimani's dad.
Really?
I think so, with our friend Arthur Hightower.
Wow. Yeah. I got to ask Arthur about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. All right, here we go. Let's see. Glad we stuck with the run game, even when it didn't start out strong. I mean, you could certainly speak to that, Lo.
Yeah, you have to. You got to complement your football, and you got to do that. You got to run the game, run the ball as well. It was interesting because the end of the second quarter kind of went away from the run and was throwing, and you see him come back at third quarter and just say, look, let's go back to the run. You saw him after one drive ran, I think, the ball 3-4 times in a row, and it was good to see, the OC say, okay, let's go back, run the ball. Right after halftime, said, look, let's run it. We've been beating them up. Herbert's been scrambling around running. Let's hit them in the mouth. And they started running. I thought they ran great in the second half. Just even put the pedal even further to the metal.
Yep. Aboigbe, massive improvements this season. Yeah, and they said last year was a developmental year. He barely played last year. They took him in the fourth round, and I remember Mike Elston saying, he's a developmental player, and we're gonna, take our time with him. And now you're seeing the fruits of that today. 4 pressures, 2 sacks. Khalil Mack, 6 pressures and a sack. Thule, 6 pressures and a sack. Coming into this one, I'll give you a nice little nug that I had on my notes for the game. Thule, where are you, number 45? Here we go. His 18% pressure rate, career high, and his 30% of team pressures, top 10 in the NFL. Tonight, he had a pressure rate of 27.3%. 1 out of every 4 snaps, he's got a pressure. Khalil Mack, 28.6%. 1 out of every 4 snaps, he's got it. That he's pass rushing, which is almost always he's got a pressure. Like that's Aboigbe had a 16% pressure rate. Where's Owe, who had a sack? Owe, 15% pressure rate. He had 3 pressures and a sack. I mean, it was an.
That's a nice sack. Swiped the hands, got his hips out wide. I was like, all right, turn the corner. He looked smooth doing that, getting that one.
Money QJ not getting any targets. Yeah, I think that's just the way it. I mean, you can speak to it, Lo. That's just kind of the way it shook out tonight.
Yeah, you had Keenan, and you had, of course, McConkey. They were getting open, and that's just way. And you had your tight end, so you didn't need him. Q can catch the ball. Q's proven that he's the 3. He understands his role. There's some games where Q will catch more balls than other guys, so he's going to be fine. But tonight, McConkey, he was big. Had a 90 yards. I don't know if he ended up clipping 100. He had a big game. Had that one drop, hit him right in the hands. He's like, I can't. He was like, what the hell happened? And he went off from there.
Hit him in the face.
Yeah.
Very strange. I remember they had Zion up on the infinity board, and he was like, Like he was like, that doesn't happen. That was weird. Right. Lad's wide open. It was an offside, so it was a free play.
Right.
And it just like he didn't get his hands up quick enough, and it just bonked right off his face mask, which you just never see with Lad. Lad ended up with 88. Yeah, 6 for 88 and a touchdown. So good night for Lad. So here we go. Age. Nice to see Harris get in the end zone. We talked about that. Bondar, Sweet Jumps, and Scott all have Navy. Navy brought tears to my eyes. Did think of Low blocking in this game, said Scott, and then Sweet Jumps with probably my favorite comment of the night. The Navy's reminded me of Low's neck roll.
No, I love those Navies too. Powder blue and Navies, they were my favorite, man.
What neck roll did you wear, Low?
I had the cowboy collar. Remember I did the collar? I did the cowboy collar.
You had the cowboy collar.
Yeah, that was, you had to protect that big neck, baby.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
I didn't know if you had the toilet bowl,
Right, right, right,
the
right,
white
right.
toilet bowl. And then you had the Brian Cox with the weird one. He had that
Yes,
wedge.
yes,
I
yes.
think Gary Minter used to wear the cowboy collar, if I remember right,
I,
too.
I love the cowboy collar. Me and Moose Johnson, cowboy collar.
Exactly.
I loved it. And those guys, like I said, those guys blocked hard tonight. You watch the fullback, you watch the 22 personnel, 12 personnel. This was a physical, very, very physical game for the Chargers. They set the tone from the jump. Loved it that they were just physical blocking tonight.
I'm going to flip through some of these, and then we're going to get out of here.
Let's do it.
Lowe, the real deal beast, no doubt. So obsessed watching them in these uniforms. Superchargers team win. Much love. Number 52 with a bad arm. Yeah, I'm not done. Khalil said he was ready. He said last week, he said Sunday he wasn't quite right, but he was saying all week, he's like, I'm back. He's like, I'm good. He's like, I feel like I'm 100%. It's going to be a different Khalil you're going to see out there, and you saw it. Man, he had that one run stop where he just collapsed the right tackle. I mean, that dude didn't stand a chance. And he got held on a play, and the very next snap is when he got his sack. You could tell he was bummed that he did not get the flag. He was not happy. And the very next play, he just dusted that left tackle and was in Wentz's lap. Thule and Mack, yes, they both played great. I mean, we just talked about it with the pressures. You had a combined 12 pressures and 2 sacks for those two dudes. Number 45. That's a good question from Bob Lowe. How do you think the game would have gone if it started with a pick six?
Yeah, you never know. I'm glad it didn't. I can tell you that. But no, if you saw Minnesota, that could have changed the game. It was great that it didn't catch it, because you jump up 6-0. Now you start to get doubt. Minnesota changes the momentum. You saw what happened to the Chargers at the end of the game. Even though the game was won, you saw it. We have 12 guys on the field, end up staying out there, scored a touchdown off of it. Those little self-inflicted wounds, when you do little, turnovers and things like that, it can change a game. Good thing we had a great lead. Herbert, throws the ball, trying to make a play. Ball gets tipped toward the fourth quarter, gets intercepted, end up scoring off. So mistakes, when you turn the ball over, you usually lose games. They just had the Chargers did a great job tonight of not turning the ball more than Minnesota.
I'm gonna let you have this one, Lo. Bondar wants to know. Would love to see Kimani juke a little more sometimes instead of just running into the defender. Like when he ran outside to the left, he could have scored if he juked. You want to take that one?
Yeah, you know what? I think sometimes guys, they're just trying to get their job. They are just trying to do their job. He's like, I'm in here. I want to show that I'm physical. I'm going to run guys over. He has some wiggle. We know, but he can wiggle. But right now, he's just like, I want to run physical and set a presence. I think more comfortable he gets, I think you'll see him start to set guys down, because he's showing how hard he can run. He has a wiggle. We know he can make a guy miss. So he will. I think it's just getting his feet underneath him. This guy, you got to realize, he was on the streets. He was on the practice squad. This wasn't an original starter. He's starting in the National Football League. Give this guy, this was going to be a backup. This is not his, so give him some time. I think that you'll see this guy will make guys miss, but he's running hard. He's protecting the ball, putting the 2 hands on the ball. I'd rather see that than putting the ball on the ground trying to juke someone.
I guess I set you up for something that I thought I was going to get, and I didn't get it, so I'm going to set it up again, Lo. You want to set up a run and block for a back that likes to wiggle and shake and try to find more yards, or you want him to run what it's blocked to be run for?
Run the daylight. If that's it.
Go. Yeah,
I want to run the daylight.
I want to see you keep your feet moving.
Exactly.
You start juking too much, you slow down. You got reinforcements coming. I get what you're saying, Bondar, but you're making it sound like it's a lot easier than it is. If it's a one-on-one situation, fine, but not everybody can be Lad McConkey.
No,
and stop it. That is a special gift that he has. That's not normal. So I think Kimani's got plenty of wiggle. He had that one-on-one situation in Miami where he dumped that dude and ended up getting an extra 20, 30 yards, but not easy. Vidal, good vision. Here we go. Flores wanted to draft Herbert over Tua. So did Dan Marino, Brendan. But I'll say this. I think there is some revisionist history there. Every single draft, Nick, and had Tua ahead of Herbert just because of the way Mario Cristobal used him at Oregon. Herbert was not this Herbert at Oregon. It was kind of like a quick one read and run. It was we're leaning on the defense. Don't turn the ball over. He was a much different quarterback at Oregon. Now you have the measurables, you got all the physical attributes, but don't forget what Tua did, man, in that second half of that national championship game. That dude was a heck of a quarterback at Alabama. It was not like he was trash coming into the league, but yes, hindsight certainly. All right, I think we're good, Lo.
Me too.
There we go. Any thoughts, Disley? A healthy scratch? I think he's just still working through something, Jason. Not to just to borrow the sound from just to borrow the phrase from Coach Harbaugh. He came back last week after being out a couple weeks, and so I think they probably just figured, you know what, we're good. We'll just use Tucker Fisk in those blocking, and Orande's so good catching the ball. Let's just make sure Will's 100%. Is kind of what my guess is why he wasn't out there. And yes, you're right, H. We got lucky getting Herb, because they were not going to trade up. They were content with whichever one fell to them. They were fine with Tua, and they were fine with Herbert, and they were just like, we'll take whichever guy comes. And thankfully, ended up being number 10. All right, man. That's going to do it for us. Lo, get to bed, man. You look like you're
I am. I got to be up at 3:30 in the morning, money. 3:30, baby.
Go on, get to bed.
All right.
I got to be up at 4:40, so I'm right behind
Cheers.
you. All right. Good
Both
night,
up.
everybody. We appreciate you. Who's got it better than us, Jem? Nobody, as Lo goes to sleep. Jason G, appreciate you. Brendan, appreciate you. I'll just run through a couple more of these for all the people that stayed up with us. So thanks. I know that's quite a few comments. Bolt up from Vegas. Thank you, Joe. I'm not done. Mo, Lo, looking at the rest of our schedule, this team, can we make 10 dubs? Well, I mentioned FanDuel, man. It's a pretty heavy favorite to make 10. The under 10 is plus, the over 10 is minus. So here I can pull them up again, and we'll wrap on that. Let's go real quick. Can we make it to 10? What do the smart folks think? Over 9.5, minus 190, under 9.5, plus 160. So there you go. Feels like people think we're good. All right, everybody. Appreciate you all coming. Thank you so much for checking in with us. We'll be back again next week with more Bleav in Chargers.